Black Mirror. This is one of the most popular Netflix shows of all time, and there are solid reasons for that. I'll tell you everything you didn't know about the anthology Black Mirror right now. By the way, you can use subtitles. My name is Dan K, and this is the DK Now channel. It's going to be interesting and informative.
I say creepy, I mean it's totally batshit crazy I can even talk to you.
It's just the sort of thing that he would say.
Let's start with something simple but important. The title Black Mirror is a reference to the effect of a turned-off television or computer screen, which gives a dark reflection to the viewers. Any television, any LCD display, any iPhone, any iPad, if you're just looking at it, not using it for its intended purpose, it looks like a cold and eerie black mirror.
An entertainer.
Could you say that down the screen as a self-contained sentence?
I'm an entertainer.
The first 2 seasons aired on the British Channel 4. After that, Netflix acquired the project. Despite the series now being streamed on Netflix, its creator Charlie Brooker still doesn't recommend watching all the episodes in a row. Netflix may be the biggest source for binge watching, but Brooker says he's not sure it's really suited by binge watching because it's a bit like getting run over by a car. He says, "How many times can you get hit by a car in one day?" For many years, fans of the show have pondered whether the different stories in the show actually take place in the same universe. Now we have an answer. Charlie Brooker, the creator of the series, confirmed that the stories likely occur in a shared universe. People used to say to me, "Do all the stories happen in one shared universe?" And I say, absolutely not. And now, for the first time, one of our stories refers to events that happened in other episodes. This trend will continue and evolve in the future. The episode Black Museum definitely confirms the shared universe of Black Mirror. This episode is filled with references to other episodes. The bloody tablet, the bloody bathtub, and a leftover lollipop all hint at earlier episodes in the 4th season. There are even hidden clues that reference episodes from previous seasons.
Hey!
The inspiration for creating the series came from, strangely enough, Apple and The Twilight Zone. During a presentation at the BFI event in London, the creator of the show, Charlie Brooker, noted, "Apple's advertising reminded me of the movie Soylent Green. I thought it was good material to explore when you're scared of the App Store." Brooker also mentioned in an article for The Guardian that The Twilight Zone served as indirect inspiration since it was sometimes surprisingly brutal. Netflix doesn't provide showrunners of the series with viewing statistics at the London event Brooker mentioned. Netflix doesn't tell us how many people are watching it, so in theory it could be 3 people, but they did tell us that between the 3rd and 4th season, viewers realized it's an anthology and started watching the episodes in any order. The show attracts many directors because there are no rules here. This freedom is the essence of the series' success. When a director comes to other shows, the look is already established, the rules of the world are set, and the cast is chosen. In Black Mirror, there are no rules, which means that everything can be discussed and explored. Black Mirror is of course an anthology, and each story deserves individual attention. However, there's one episode that is still considered the best in the series by various measures. The episode Junipero is the most critically acclaimed episode of Black Mirror. It received 2 BAFTA awards, an IGN and GLAAD award, as well as 2 Emmy awards. Despite the location of Junipero being described as a sunny California district, the filming actually took place in Cape Town, South Africa. The filming was very challenging, but it was worth it. By the way, Ross Geller predicted the plot of Junipero in one of the episodes of the TV show Friends. Yes, seriously. Ross suggested the idea that by 2030 it would be possible to upload human thoughts and memories into a computer and live forever as a machine, which is the same technology featured in the episode's ending.
How long have you been here?
Couple months. Plan is long enough to enjoy myself.
Junipero has had such a cultural impact that it has been referenced in some other TV shows. There is a sketch on Saturday Night Live that references Junipero, I mentioned in the show Riverdale on the CW channel, and the crossover with the series Orange is the New Black. Charlie Brooker and co-showrunner and producer Annabelle Jones hinted at a sequel to Junipero, but not in the way you might think. When asked if they would make a sequel to the most popular episode of the series, Brooker and Jones replied that yes, but not necessarily in the form of a traditional TV episode. It is more likely to be a full-fledged movie. Each episode of Black Mirror can easily be called a standalone feature film. It is unknown whether a real film based on any Mirror episode will be made in the near future, but it is known that in 2013, Robert Downey Jr.'s company acquired the rights to adopt the third episode of the first season into a movie. The film was supposed to be created in collaboration with Warner Bros. Unfortunately, there has been no news about this film to date. The technology behind one of the most touching episodes of the series actually exists. In the episode Be Right Back, Martha uses her partner's digital history to create a version of him after his death, first as a text-based bot, then through phone calls, and finally through a full-size android. The seeds of this technology have already been explored by developer Eugenia Kuida, who wrote code and created a digital version of her deceased friend. The visual effects team put a lot of effort into making the monster in the episode playtest terrifying. The half-spider, half-human monster in the second episode of the third season became one of the darkest characters of that season. The Black Mirror visual effects team initially worried about how to make the monster scary and not funny. To enhance the fear factor, the team turned to the work of the experimental artist Chris Cunningham. By the way, the making-of video for this scene is even more horrifying than the episode itself. Una Chaplin, the granddaughter of Charlie Chaplin, appeared in the Black Mirror episode White Christmas alongside Jon Hamm. Her participation added a significant cinematic pedigree to the series. Attentive fans also know that Una Chaplin appeared in episodes of Game of Thrones. Jon Hamm, by the way, was a big fan of the series before being cast in the special Christmas episode.
It concerns you directly, sir.
Just play it.
The highly controversial pilot episode, the one with the pig, was partially inspired by an incident involving Gordon Brown's microphone in 2010. As the creator of the series said, it was partially inspired by the furor around super injections and partly a sense of the strange indifference that can take over in those days of news activity. For example, the day Gordon Brown was virtually forced to apologize to Gillian Duffy on the news. Who was in charge that day? Nobody and everybody simultaneously. What the Black Mirror team couldn't predict was that allegations related to the pig incident would befall Prime Minister David Cameron literally a year later. In an anonymous lawsuit, Cameron was accused of supposedly engaging in an act with a deceased pig's head during a college initiation ceremony. Several years later, in his memoir, the former Prime Minister responded to the claim saying, "My first reaction was not one of anger, embarrassment, or concern about the impact. It was a sort of disbelief that anyone could write a book about me that included a story that was both false and ludicrous." You might be surprised, but Black Mirror is not filmed in America, and this includes the episode Rachel, Jack and Ashley 2 featuring Miley Cyrus. Filming in America is too expensive for the Black Mirror team. Every time they needed a location that looked like it was in America, they used South Africa, Canada or Spain. For this episode with Miley Cyrus, Charlie Brooker and co-author Annabelle Jones chose South Africa. Among the many other locations, episodes were shot in London, England, as well as the remote landscapes of Iceland. Miley Cyrus agreed to appear in the series after a Skype conversation. The team behind the series thought they would be ignored, but they sent her the script and it turned out she had seen the show, liked it, read the script, liked it as well, and soon they were talking on Skype and Miley said she was ready to join. It's that simple. Charlie Brooker often envisions people for the characters he creates, which greatly helps with casting. He says, "Sometimes when I'm writing, I have a specific person in mind, which helps me visualize the character being created. It's hard for me to remember at what stage a specific thought about someone occurs, but it really aids in casting. Sometimes I'm very active in that, but we also have wonderful casting directors." Endings for the episodes are planned fairly early in the process. When Charlie Brooker writes, he finds it really useful to have a final image in mind, typically an image, not just a phrase. It's only after having the final image that he connects the beginning and the ending.
Strangers like you, that's a plus. There's a ways to go, but 4.5, certainly achievable.
The famous episode about people seeking likes from others to continue living freely, Nosedive, captivated the world and taught us a lot. And not only us, but also the actress who played the main role, Bryce Dallas Howard. The episode inspired her to check her Uber rating and work on herself.
Dailies created an identical digital version of you.
This is a dream. Here, It has to be.
Let's not forget another famous episode, USS Callister. Jesse Plemons, who became known through the series Breaking Bad, almost turned down the role in the series because he initially thought it was just a Star Trek spoof. In an interview with Chichi, Plemons recalled, "I was so confused, I thought, what is this? Just a Star Trek spoof? This is not for me. And then I couldn't stop reading it and soon realized what it was and immediately responded very positively to it. Of course, only a fool would turn down such a role. I agreed right away." Fun fact, the king of literally horror Stephen King is a fan of the series. The creative team behind Black Mirror must have been thrilled to learn that King himself is a big fan of the series. In 2014, Stephen King tweeted, "Loved Black Mirror, terrifying, funny, intelligent, it's like the Twilight Zone only rated R." The Black Mirror series resulted in the release of not one but two soundtracks on vinyl. Max Richer's soundtrack for the episodes on Junipero and Nosedive were both released on vinyl, which is a rare achievement for a TV series. Black Mirror made a statement on the night of the 2016 United States presidential election when Donald Trump won. The show tweeted, "This isn't an episode, this isn't marketing, this is reality." It was a moment of eerie dystopian reflection. Many episodes of Black Mirror, whose origins you might not have suspected, were inspired by real events. The national anthem episode was partially inspired by the Bush Tucker trial from the reality show I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, in which contestants had to eat repulsive parts of animals. White Bear. The story's mystery is revealed, and it's easy to see that the episode was inspired by the crimes of Victoria, which are clearly drawn from the crimes of Myra Hindley and Ian Brady. The Wilder Moment. The episode's political satire was inspired by the music group Gorillaz. Charlie Brooker imagined a politician stepping out of the Gorillaz animated characters and was influenced by Boris Johnson for the character of Waldo.
You are an image voiced by a comedian, an alleged comedian more accurately.
If I'm not real, why are you talking to him? And by him, I mean me, nobber.
Man Against Fire. The episode takes its title from the Brigadier General Samuel Marshall's book Man Against Fire, The Problem of Battle Command. The book discusses how in World War II more than 70% of soldiers didn't actually fire their rifles, and those who did tended to aim above the heads of the enemy. Hated in the Nation. The antagonist Garrett Scholes was inspired by a real-life terrorist, and the hashtag Death2 was inspired by the real reactions Charlie Brooker received. After writing a satirical article in 2004 for The Guardian about then-President George Bush, Brooker uttered a line mentioning presidential assassins asking, "Where are you now when we need you?" Brooker received a lot of outrage and even death threats, eventually apologizing and asking The Guardian to remove the article. Black Museum. The horrifying section about pain addiction in Black Museum is a story taken directly from Penn Jillet's short story with the same plot published in 1988. Brooker contacted Gillette to ask for permission to use the story in Black Mirror. Penn helped shape the story and wanted to play a separate role, but the cast was already confirmed. In the episode Smithereens, the CEO of the social media platform goes off the grid while on vacation, and this was inspired by the fact that the then CEO and founder of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, did the same. Rachel, Jack, and Ashley too. The plan to create a hologram of Eternal Ashley in this episode was inspired by Charlie Brooker's horror at the idea of hologram concerts for deceased artists like Whitney Houston and Amy Winehouse. The episode Beyond the Sea was inspired by the experience of working from home, offering a unique perspective. Additionally, the cult murders in Black Mirror Beyond the Sea closely mirror the real-life actions of Charles Manson and his followers when they killed Sharon Tate, a story well covered in Quentin Tarantino's film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now let's talk a bit about the 6th season, which is the latest one up to this point. Charlie knew he wanted a Hollywood star for the role in the episode John is Awful, but at first he didn't know who to choose. I remember when I was writing John is Awful, I just wrote Hollywood star in the script for the role of Salma Hayek. I never thought we'd actually be able to attract such a Hollywood star to play herself in such an episode, especially to agree to do some of the things we needed for the episode. The script was initially quite boring because the author didn't dare to write some of the things he wanted to add to the story. Then they had a Zoom call with the actress where her only request was to make everything more extravagant and freely use personal details from her life. That's why it was mentioned that she's dyslexic and Roman Catholic. After she said that, the show's team had complete creative freedom.
You take your barograph fate and shove it up your ass. I hope that you get paper cuts in your hemorrhoids and die!
Netflix was very interested in being parodied in Black Mirror. The creators of the series were confident that it was not even worth asking, as the platform would likely refuse. However, surprisingly, Netflix representatives agreed right away. In this episode, Brooker essentially bites the hand that fits him. Before the main character discovers that Streamberry, the Netflix knockoff, can turn her life into a streaming series, she goes on a date with an ex named Mac, and we hear the show's musical theme when John enters the bar. Anyone who knows what love is will understand, by Irma Thomas. This song was featured in every season, including 15 Million Marys from the first season, White Christmas from the second season, Men Against Fire from the third season, Crocodile from the fourth season, and Rachel, Jack and Ashley 2 from the season 5. Also, know that when John in this episode goes to meet with a lawyer, played by Unmi Masaku, who works at Skillane Legal. This is a reference to Victoria Skillane, the main character of the second season's White Bear episode. The second episode of the season, Loch Henry. The episode begins with a newspaper headline referencing a ruthless politician who is more prominently featured in this season's episode, Demon 79. When Davis and Pia start working on their documentary about the real crime, you can see several laptop stickers. There are no random stickers here. The blue bear is a reference to the second season episode While the Moment. The eye logo from the fourth season Archangel episode. The recurring season glyph is from the second season White Bear episode, and the Tucker Soft sticker is a reference to Bandersnatch, the unique episode movie of Black Mirror. When Davis and Pia go to meet Streamberry, you can see a poster on the wall for a documentary series called The Hollow Years, which is another reference to the controversial national anthem episode, which is mentioned again in the documentary series preview titled From the BAFTA-winning producers of The Hollow Years. The first season episode is mentioned again here with a headline, What happened to Michael Callow? Now he runs a zoo. Considering the focus on zoophilia in this episode, the career choice is hard to miss. Finally, when Loch Henry wins a BAFTA award, it overtakes a show titled Euthanasia inside Project Junipero, which is clear nod to the excellent episode San Junipero from the third season. In the episode Demon 79, you can spot a black and white photo of the murderous dogs from the fourth season's Metalhead episode. Also notice Nida's vision of a grim future, with Michael Smart as a global leader, including the famous glyph as a part of his campaign logo. The Mazy Day episode. Clara Rugar's character leaves a club named Quagmire, a bar that also appears in the famous San Junipero episode. This could possibly be the real bar that inspired the virtual bar in that episode. Leaving her paparazzi life behind, Bo finds a job at a place called Yorkie's Coffee Shop, which is another reference to San Junipero, as Yorkie was the name of a character played by Mackenzie Davis. And finally, the fifth episode, Beyond the Sea. It's easy to miss this reference, but at the beginning there is a now showing poster that includes Space Fleet, a show that captivated Jesse Plemons' character in the USS Callister episode. This comes after Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Battleship of Love. Also, when Davis' family is brutally killed, there is a fleeting shot of one of the killers dropping something in blood, which slightly resembles the emblem of the White Bear, which shortly appears on the cult leader's forehead, played by Rory Culkin. This symbol appears throughout the season. The storyline in the Beyond the Sea episode was inspired, as mentioned earlier, by our lives during the pandemic. This episode was conceived a while ago and revolves around this isolation, loneliness, a lack of connections, and working from home in a strange mode. The author was horrified by the pandemic and initially resisted making the sixth season of Black Mirror. He wanted to focus on something good and positive. It was only by 2022 that he felt a bit better and decided to use his pandemic sketches for one of the episodes. Regarding the future, the creators of the series intend to stick to the format of seasons with a maximum of 6 episodes until the end of their journey. Hannibal Jones said, "It puts us on the brink of a nervous breakdown, so it only works in this format. I think even a 7th episode would just break us." Which fact about the Black Mirror series surprised you the most, and what show do you want to see a video about soon? Waiting for your comments under this video right now. My name is Dan K and this is the DK Now channel. See you soon. Bye.